welcome to week 2 of our Nations of Coaches preseason growth series. At Nations of Coaches, it's our sincerest desire to serve, connect, and equip college basketball coaches from around the country. And I'm excited this morning because we are about to do some serious equipping. If you love offensive basketball, you're in the right spot. And then after the clinic, stay tuned, stay with us. You're going to really want to spend some time listening to Scott Brewer, the outstanding character coach from Baylor University, in our Nations of Coaches character moment. This morning, we are going to learn from one of the best minds in all of college basketball. I am beyond excited. We're going to learn from Coach Lennie Acuff. Good morning, Coach Acuff.
Morning, Barclay. How are you guys?
It's so nice to see you. 1 week of practice. How are the Bulldogs?
So far so good. Like a lot of guys, we really just trying to figure it out, but excited to be here and thankful to be with you guys with Nations of Coaches Day. Thank you for anyone and everyone that got up this morning.
Yeah, we're excited. A lot of coaches have been anticipating this clinic. I've gotten a ton of calls. Just a quick introduction because I want to give the lion's share of time to Coach Acuff. Wife Kelly, son Will, who's on your staff, Coach.
Yeah, it's been a blessing for sure.
Yeah, yep. And daughter Molly, 665 wins and counting. A head coach at Belhaven, Berry, Alabama, Huntsville, and Lipscomb. An amazing 9 regular season championships, 4 tournament championships, 12 trips to the NCAA tournament, including last year with Lipscomb, and now Coach is in his first year as the head coach at Samford. I got my pen out, Coach. I got my paper ready. I am genuinely excited to learn this morning. Coaches from across the country are with us. So, Coach, you take it from here.
Thanks, Barclay. Appreciate you. To everyone that did kind enough to get up this morning, thank you for doing that. Before I start talking basketball, there's a few things I'd like to share. I think the first thing is what Nations of Coaches is meant to my family and I. Some of you may not know a lot about Nations of Coaches. Some of you may know a lot, but I was so thankful for them, their leadership, so many men and women involved in that organization that give without wanting anything in return, and how many people in our lives come and want to enter our world without wanting something on the other end. And so if you have a chance to, at the Final Four, or for your wife to be a part of their Bible study, to go to any of their events, their marriage retreat in the summer is incredible. My wife and I have gone 3 times, and it's blessed us tremendously. So to everybody at Nations of Coaches, thank you for what you do for so many without asking for anything in return. But you absolutely show us what the hands and feet of Jesus look like. And so I thought I would share just a little bit today, and just a little bit about my story and how it's evolved, and the way our offense has evolved. And as I sit here today, I could tell you that I could do 3 hours or longer on things that I've screwed up. You do a clinic, people say, well, I like this, or I like this that we do, or this has brought us success. I could give you multiple examples of things that we haven't gotten right, and things that, because it's hard, and winning is hard, and winning at any level is hard. And so I do know, just from a philosophical standpoint, I have one goal every year when we get our team together. As I say, I want to be excited about getting out of the car every day when I pull in the parking lot. I think it's really easy to coach teams that you enjoy. It's very, very difficult to coach teams that you feel like you're fighting all the time, and teams that have guys that just there's no buy-in. That makes it very, very difficult. And so I think the thing that we try, and I think this will all tie into our offensive philosophy, is we have 3 things that we want our team to be committed to, or to bought into every single day when we put them out there on the floor. And we started practice on Monday. We said we want to practice in a way that allows us, when we get to game night, for us to be connected. I think if I could have one wish every year on my team, it would be for our team to be connected, and not just connected within the team, but also to be connected with the coaching staff. Whether there's a connectivity, there's real life in your program. So we want them to be connected. We want them to be confident. Um, I think confidence and momentum are powerful both ways. When you have confidence, it's amazing what you can accomplish. When there's a lack of confidence, it gets very difficult. A lot like during the season when your team gets momentum, it's amazing what can be done. And when it starts going the other way, it can get away from you real quick. I look at the Detroit Tigers in baseball, and this past September, it happens real quick. So we want them to be connected, we want to be confident, and we want them to play with conviction. Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, we want our guys to think the way that we're playing and the philosophy, the style of play that we have, it's the right way for this team. And I will just say this with total sincerity and no false humility. There are so many things that I wish we did better. I know we don't have all the answers in any way. Um, but I want our team to think we do. I want our team to be confident in our plan, in our scheme, and most importantly, I want them to be convicted that when things get hard, that we're going to stay the course. We're not going to flinch. I think every team, every game, and every season has a defining moment, and then those defining moments you can't flinch. And so we're looking for guys that want to stay in the fight. We're looking for guys that understand that some days it's you, some day it's me, but it's always us. And I think a lot of that can be taken care of in recruiting, which I understand now, and we lived it this year with 13 new players in our program. Is that it's hard to do that a lot of times because of transfer portal, but the teams that I feel like perform at a really high level have a level of connectivity, of confidence, and conviction. And so, with that being said, I'll talk a little bit about our offense and how it evolved. Many years ago, I was the coach at Alabama Huntsville, and there was a coach. It's actually Samford, Jimmy Tillett. He started running the Princeton offense, and Jimmy's son actually played for me at Berry College prior to me going to Huntsville. And Jimmy was really the first guy that started running true Princeton outside the Princeton family, and he had amazing success. And we started studying, and I thought it'd be a good fit for our program. And that was, gosh, 27 years ago. Um, but at that point, we were kind of the outlier. We were one of the few teams that were doing it, and outside of the Northeast, the Ivy League schools, whatever. But um, obviously, as things have evolved, I think everybody we see runs an element of Princeton offense. There's the split action. A lot of people run the chin action. A lot of people get the five out, and so we have really doubled down on trying just to teach our guys how to play. We have doubled down on fundamentals. Um, I don't think you play anyone that's not very, very, very familiar with what you do, that doesn't have an element of what we do in our offense, in their scheme. And so there's not that uniqueness. There's not that hey, we haven't seen this before. Uh, Type of preparation they have to get into. So what we've tried to do is play faster. It was interesting. Was really blessed to have a relationship with Coach Beeline, John Beeline, when he was at Michigan, and he actually came and watched our team play a couple of years ago down at Florida Gulf Coast. And after the game, we were talking. He said, "Guy, you're playing faster than I remember you." And he said, "I like that." And I said, "Well, if you could go back, what would you do different?" He said, "I would play faster." And I think that's out of necessity because I think that teams are just so good on the defensive end. If they get dug in and their defense is set, um, it makes it very difficult to score. And our thing is we're always trying to run as hard as we can to try to create a fragmented floor. And so we'll talk about that a little bit. I'll share my screen and we'll start uh, getting into what we do, how we do it, what we do. But before I do that, I would tell you that we when we think about running, there's three things we tell our team. We say we want to sprint, and there's a big difference in jogging and sprinting. Um, and that's we say it's winning and losing, and uh, and for us, we want to sprint, we want to scatter, and we want to share. That's the three things we talk about, and I'm going to show you some clips here in a few minutes of that, and the importance of that. And I was really blessed. Fairly early in my career, I recruited a kid named Kevin Carroll, that's now the head coach at Lipscomb University, and Kevin actually worked for me two different times. And a lot of the stuff that I share in transition, or really anything with offense, I got from Kevin. But Kevin had a great thought in terms of offensive basketball, and he always just said, in transition, let's find the 2-on-1. We've got to find the 2-on-1, and that's what we're always chasing. And really, in any vein, we're trying to get to the 2-on-1, find the 2-on-1 in the half court as well. I think for us, if we can get them to put two on the ball, then what we've done is we've put ourselves in a position that we're playing with an advantage, and that's what we want to do. We want to be able to play with an advantage every single possession, and once we get that advantage, we don't want to give it away. I hope you guys can see this screen now. If not, Barclay, if you guys would let us know. But we're going to start talking about our transition offense, and I think I actually have talked to a lot of coaches about this. I don't know where you guys are on your staff, but we have conversations every single year about who should take the ball out, on a make. There's a lot of people that run on a miss. We're going to run on makes as well as misses. We think that's really, really important for us to be able to get the ball at court quickly. And I think for us, getting it in as fast with the closest guy is really important. And I don't know if we're going to do it this year or not, but we've even evolved to where the point guard will throw it in. And so, but these are just a few clips of us at Lipscomb last year when we're in transition. And our big thing, and even in this possession, we don't really get to where we want to go, but in a perfect spot. But our thing is we are chasing space and we are chasing great. We're not chasing average. We're looking to create great opportunities, and we're trying to play fast. We're not necessarily trying to shoot fast. But I do think it's important when you play the better teams, sometimes the best shot is going to come early in the possession. If you turn down that good shot, you may not get another one. And for us, and we do spend a ton of time on it, is identifying what do we want, what we kind of try to reverse engineer the possession. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this, but we absolutely talk about it every single day. And it is about, the four things we're looking for in every possession. We want to get an advantage layup. And maybe some of you guys have heard me talk before. I think some of the worst shots in basketball are layups. Not only do you usually miss them, they usually lead to a run out or an advantage going the other way. And we want advantage layups. We want range, room, and rhythm threes with the right guy. We want to get fouled, and we want to get offensive rebounds. And I used to be so concerned with how it looked, or does coaches think we're well coached, or we're all this type stuff. And I guess the older you get, you start realizing that at the end of the day, that stuff really doesn't matter. We're just trying to do what's best for our team. And so, trying to find the 2-on-1, and like right here in this clip, you can see that, our thing is we got a guy on the rim, we got a guy running wide. Normally, we want to get all the way to the corner, which we call the stretch. But I do think that the common sense overrides the rule. I mean, this guy's open right now, and our guard does a really good job of looking across Main Street. And the thing that I would tell you, that the best part of this clip is that the pass is on time and it's on target. We've had years where we've gone back and statted it, even into last year, where there's a 14 to 16% difference in 3-point shooting based on the quality of the pass. And a couple years ago, we shot 46% from three on passes that we thought were on time, on target with touch, and that were strikes. And we shot right at 29% on the ones that were out of the strike zone. So we spend a lot of time on that. And, these are two fifth-year senior guards that know how to play, and it ends up getting us a shot that we'll take every single time. But again, we think the first three steps are the most important steps. we want to chase space. I know a lot of people ask, what do you do with the big or whatever? What we've settled in on is that we're trying to get our 5 man on the rim if he's ahead of the ball or to the dunker. Um, if he is the trail, we get to 5 out. I think the challenge with 5 out, I don't think the spacing is great in transition early if you're running to 5 out every time. So we're probably a little bit more concerned with just getting space and then trying to find that 2-on-1. But obviously, right here, we make a nice pass and get our hand to the. We'll end up getting the ball at the rim. This is I think a nice clip because what we find here is we've got a two-sided break on this side, and because we run to the rim and we occupy the last guy back, we create a 2-on-1, and then we do a nice job here of finding the guy in the corner that gets to the stretch. And one thing that I would say here, we tell our guy that's the low man, you have got to keep a body on this guy, which a lot of people call gore top because as people switch, I think the ability to keep posting, switching eliminates rim protection, but our big does a good job here. And then he gets to America, and that's something that's really important to us that we've evolved more to is letting the ball talk. When the ball's driven, we want to get to certain spots. And for us, we think getting to the front of the rim, getting behind the ball is a big deal. We talk about that a lot. This is what we call the Canada because it's behind the ball. This is America. And this guy here needs to get to the stretch. But because we get guys to good spots and we have good spacing, we're able to get our hand to the backboard, which for us is a positive possession. Same thing here, getting a guy on the rim, but just because we have somebody that ran wide late, that ran wide early, it allowed us to have kind of a backdraft rim run, which is good for us. And again, understand like even right here, we need to be getting deeper quicker. But a big teaching point for us is when you're running, you're always looking over your inside shoulder. When you're running, if you've got your eyes straight ahead, you can't be a receiver. You can't help the ball, and so got to look over your inside shoulder. And as we're running again, putting a guy on the rim, but because we do get two guys to the stretch, we kind of put their goalie in a tough spot. All right, on this possession here, same thing, guy on the rim, pass, shot, stop, and then and understanding the 2-on-1, find the 2-on-1, giving up good for great. And these right here are the shots that we're trying to get, obviously, range, room, and rhythm threes for the right guy. Here, and we're good with dribble bust outs. The thing that I think for us that we're always trying to do as much as we can is try to get our feet to the paint in transition if possible, just because I just think inside out threes are so much better. This is actually our 5 man that ends up shooting this, and I understand everybody may not have a 5 man that can shoot, but what a weapon it is. But I think it's really important, even there, the pass is on time, it's on target, and it gives himself a chance to step into it and lock, leave, and stick. All right, now, a big part of what we do is if the defense is set, if we're just, when we're in transition, we're not running offense, we're playing offense. And but at some point, you're going to play against a set defense, whether it's off a dead ball, a made ball, and just say we're running on a make or a miss, and there is no advantage. I think you need to have some verbal or some action that kind of triggers your flow. We call red. That for us just says, hey, we've lost our advantage. We're trying to bring it back to life. And then when we get to that, it is very, very simple. It is in terms of what we think. We are chasing concepts, and what we always say is, where's the ball and where's the 5? And that tells us what concept we're in, and that gives us our alignment. And here we're kind of getting into our default flow, and you'll see in a minute here where that we really should throw the ball here. The ball shouldn't be on his hip, but we end up getting into jungle, which is a really simple concept that we got from Coach Beeline many years ago. And then every time we make a pass, it's just backdoor. We call it hand cut, back cut, screen away. That's what your 3 options are. And here we go behind for a hand cut. And the thing that I would tell you is we work on this every single day is shooting hand cut threes. the best part about this sequence is that this is our 4-man, this is our 5. Even though it's switchable action, they go under. You've got to stop behind. You want to be right behind, because if he goes inside the screen or flies by the screen, it's really easy to switch. When we get these 4 guys in a row, we call that cat and mouse, and that's a really good way to be able to play off penetration, get to playing off 2 feet. But just because we do get there, we end up getting a really good look at 3. All right. And again, this number 2 is a 5th-year senior for us, has done this at nausea. But watch his foot, and we're really big on when you throw the ball. Anytime you throw the ball, you get ready to cut, you've got to have an act. Um, Use your eyes. Your eyes are a weapon. You're going to look one way to go the other. Footwork is really good here. He gets his foot inside the arc, and then now he doesn't want to take the shot. He has a chance to drive the ball and play off 2 feet. We get to cat and mouse. Now, right here, we're kind of playing out of a phone booth. There's 4 people in a tight area. We're learning how to play out of the phone booth is a big deal, because now we get really good separation because we got good spacing there. We've got X5 in a bad spot, and we do a nice job of cutting and getting to the rim. But that getting 4 in a row is really important. All right, now this on this clip, when and again, these are things that we do drill every day. When we throw the ball to the 5 here at the jungle, if they get above you, it's just give and go. I mean, it's bang and we're gone. And that was a good cut by that young man to get his foot in the ground. And we say go from 0 to 60 as quick as you can go, bang. And now we tell them there needs to be an explosion. When you cut, you got to get behind them. This guy here should be in the corner, but what you're reading is when you have the ball, we tell them you always read what happens below the action. When you're off the ball, you watch what happens in front of the action, in front of you. But this is a nice hand to the backboard layup just off a simple concept. Same thing here. Watch the explosion. And I do think cutting can be a skill. I think it's something you can get better at. I think it's something that if you invest in every day, we probably coach our guys as hard on cutting as anything we do. But we got 4 guys on the same plane. They're above him. Bang, back door. And now we're just reading. And he ends up laying this ball up. But if he doesn't, he knows where did the help come from, and he could throw the ball to 41 right here. But just because we get quick spacing, we're able to get a nice layup. All right, now, this is just some simple, quick things we do out of concepts. When we get to 5 out, there's a lot of language you have inside our offense, and everybody has their own language, and most people do the same things. They just call it different things. But this was a good concept for us, and we had 3 really good older guards last year that really helped us. But when we come over the top on a pin away and we throw it guard to guard, that's a pitch. And then we go back door, there's a pitch back. And that was a great concept for us, kind of a bailout concept for us. Here, jump to the ball, because we got shooting in the corners and we're spaced. It's a really good time just to go give and go. And again, 2 good players playing the game the right way. We're kind of getting to the same action here. And we call that a jailbreak cut. Like, he's open now. If all the passer is doing, he's reading the guy in the corner. He's reading the defender in the corner. If he's that tight, if he's stretched to that point, then that should be a layup. And again, throwing the ball to space. And this was not a call. This was just organic. We go behind for the hand cut, and we fake it. And when we fake it, we stay high to try to lift the floor, and we get good spacing on the backside. And then that allows us to get this. We call that a hand back. Fake the handoff and then go back door. But one thing that's important, we end up getting a layup. But if he doesn't shoot that ball off that clip, he should be able to throw the ball to 22 in the corner who's at the stretch. And so just always know where your bailout is. There's always a plan B. This right here is a very, very simple concept, but I thought we would show this as well, because this is the importance of cutting. We're just playing, and we're very random. And we have got more random than we've ever been. but I think there's a big difference in being random and chaotic. We don't want to be chaotic. But right here, when we get to this screen, watch the 22, watch the cut here. And we tell our guys, every time you cut, you got to cut the score or create help. And because he does a really good job of cutting the score, he creates help and we get a good shot by a good player. And absolutely, when we watch film or we go back and grade film, the 3 points here is for number 22. Like, that's a good shot by a good player, but it was the cut that did it. All right, this is something else that's a little different, or something we talked about. And again, I got a lot of this from Kevin Carroll. Anytime that we get to an empty-sided ball screen, whether it's a empty-sided down screen ball screen or a step up, we try to get we burn the top guy on the fence, which now he's already down there. We want to remove the guy off the nail. And when the ball's driven here, you'll see he knows when the ball's driven baseline, he already gets to America. Now, a lot of people keep 3 away and they cut the 45, but this is another example here. 2 gets down to the dunker early, so all he is reading is where's the ball driven. All right, the ball's driven to the baseline, he goes right to America. I think that concept has been as helpful for us as anything we do. Is just letting the ball talk, and when the ball's driven, we know where to go. And then, because if they don't help, I mean, if they help over, it's a layup. Now, really, the perfect space in 41 would be in the corner, and 10 would be out. But just getting the ball right to the front of the rim gets us an easy basket. Now, conversely, if we drive the ball middle, the guy that's in the dunker goes underneath, and we call that Mexico. So when the ball's being driven to the middle, the ball's talking, and now we have an advantage, and now we're just reading help, and we do a nice job of getting to space there and get a nice basket. Same thing here. Play behind, we'll drive the ball, the guy's in the dunker, and the reason he's already down in the dunker is we've got an empty side. We're getting to a step up, and so he's down there, drive the ball, get underneath, and we end up getting a basket off of that right there. Okay, now the next part, or what we should always look for, and a lot of people do this, is we do not set the back screen in chin. A lot of people do, and I think there's pros and cons. We don't set it. And then our first thing is to look right back to the boomerang. If they go under that, we need to throw it to them. And we end up shooting this, but most of the time when we throw it there, we're going to drive it, because that means they've gone under and we've got an advantage. Well, the counter to that is if they fight over the top, and now it's important that you keep the backside spaced here. If they fight over the top, a middle curl for us, or a late curl, is what we call snake. The ball, again, you're watching what happens below the action. He is reading this defender. If he's got 2 feet out, we should really give this a good look. We should give the snake a good look, and obviously we're throwing the space there. So now you've created a 2-on-1 with the cut, and that's been a good action for us too. Some of our biggest basket late in the game, we end up getting that. Now, everybody plays out of splits. That's another part of our offense. Like right here, 22 for us, he has choice. He can move the ball on. 22 can pass the ball to 2 here, or he could play to the pinch post. That's what we call, when we're here, we call this the triple option. He can throw it to the pinch post. He can throw it to 2 and get a flare screen, or we can step up and set a ball screen. So for us right there, we're in triple option. And then when we play, a lot of times when you get into these actions, the best opportunity for backdoor is at the other side. One thing we teach is when the ball's at the elbow, out of certain actions, ball in, you're in. We want to get number 2 in. So now, and this was not a call, this was just a read. He didn't like, the 5-man didn't like what was happening on the short side of the floor, so he plays to the wide side of the floor. And I think one thing that should jump out if you watch these clips is the importance of cutting. Like number 2 is an incredible cutter. And he affected the game without scoring so many times, but he just stole baskets with his ability to be an elite cutter. All right, so now the same thing. And we used to be real exact on where we threw the ball and where we cut. But this right here is nothing but a give and go. If they lunge on the pass, that's an automatic go. And so we just cut right behind his head. It's important that this 10 needs to be out quicker, 5 needs to be up. But this was at a big part of a big play on a road game, and it gets us to the foul line. Just a very simple action. And then we get into just screening away. And now I do think, like right here, he's reading eyes and head of the defender, our passer is. And like right now, that the cutter right here is going to be open because this guy's outside the lane. He's reading eyes in action in the phone booth, and then he's reading what's happening in the corner. The corner guy's hugged up, so we just throw to space. And again, some of those plays now, and this is the third part of triple option, is if we don't want to throw it to the pinch post or people deny the pinch post, we just step up and ball screen. And now, one important part, if you've got a shooting 5, you always want to back cut. You always want to burn the stunt, is what we call it. And because we burn the stunt, now they're trying to switch low high on the backside, and we end up getting a layup. But again, watch what happens in front of you when you're without the ball, and watch what happens below you when you have the ball. So pop, burn. Now he knows, and we knew this was going to be their coverage, and we were able to get a really simple, easy basket out of that. Last part of this is if they're going to, when you throw that ball at pinch post, I think this happens a lot, is working on stopping behind. And we just go right in that same thing. If they're going to go under, we need to stop behind. I'd like to have better spacing on that wing down to the corner. But again, we've got 4 in a row, which is really hard to guard, but it ends up getting us a range room in rhythm 3. So that's pretty much it. I do think that when you're talking about offense, I think as much as anything, it's a mentality. Um, the best way I try to share it is for me knowing that I'm a baseball guy. I love baseball, and everybody knows the best pitch in baseball is strike one. So we're always trying to get to strike one. We want to get an advantage. I don't think we're good enough to go through other teams' defenses. I don't think we don't want to go through their defense every time. And and there's a fine line between saying are we chasing speed or are we chasing execution? I'd say yes and yes. But I do think the more technology's evolved, I think it's harder to steal baskets. We out of just set plays. Now we obviously have calls like everybody, and we try to be good after timeouts and underneath all those type things. But what I've learned, the longer the season goes, the better you are in flow, default offense, the better offensive team you have. And those teams usually have an opportunity to play much, much deeper into postseason. I always say the best timeouts for us are when we say, hey, just keep moving the ball, keep moving players, and keep chasing the concepts. I think, and the last thing just about offense, and I heard Dusty May say this in a clinic somewhere, and I thought it was really good. He said, you need to know, does the ball need help or does it need space? Which I thought was a great thought. And I think just understanding, do I need to come help the ball? Do I need to let it breathe? Another thing we say to our team a lot is when in doubt, spread out. Always chase space, and because good spacing is good offense. And but again, as I wrap up, I want you guys to know that I in no way do I think I have all the answers. That's the last thing on earth. There's so many guys, there's so much better coaches than I am, but I do think that having a style of play that your players enjoy, a style of play that gets better through the year. Like we have a brand new team here this year, and it's going to take us a while to get there, but hopefully we will. And just by doubling down on fundamentals, so many coaches say defense travels, rebounds, win championships, all that stuff. I totally agree with that, but I know this. Fundamentals travel, and so we have doubled down on that. And lastly, again, before I go, I just know that thank you for what you do. This is an incredible profession. Sometimes it's a really bad business, but it's an incredible profession. And we're in a battle for these kids' hearts and minds every day. And I shared with a group yesterday. You never know how important a coach is till you get a coach, or your child gets a coach. And just ask yourself every day, would I want my players to play for me? Would I want my son or daughter to play for me? And so, but Barclay, thank you for the
Mm.
opportunity. I'm blessed. And again, if any of you guys jumped on a little bit late, Nations of Coaches is a blessing beyond belief that was started by Tommy Kyle, and he has added incredible men and women that want to serve. And they're the epitome of leadership, which is servant leadership, which is the absolute most important layer and pillar to leadership. But I'm thankful for them, what they have done for our family. My wife is involved in a Bible study, and just the friendship she's made. It's been really amazing for our family.
Coach, I got a cramp in my hand.
Yeah.
Sprint, scatter, share. Let's find the 2-on-1. Chasing great. Eyes are a weapon. Coach cutting hard. Advantage laid up. Range, room, and rhythm three. Fouled or offensive rebound. I love this one, Coach. 14 to 16% difference when you throw a strike. How
Yeah.
often do you talk about that with your team?
Every single day.
Mm,
And the first 15 to 18 minutes of every one of our practice fundamentals, Barkley, and we fight like crazy for we said you should never get bored getting better.
mm.
And that's what we're trying to do every day. But we probably coach them as hard as anything on throwing strikes, playing off 2 feet, being able to gear down to pass, being easy to play with.
Yeah. You talked about chasing space. I love that terminology, running, looking over your inside shoulder, uh, and then flowing into the next action. I know you call that red.
Yeah.
Uh, how do you teach that to keep that? Because sometimes in our break, they'll do a great job in defensive transition.
Yeah.
What's your terminology and your words and flowing to the next action?
Yeah, we just yell red, and
Red.
we say we want to flatten the defense out, we want to lift the defense, and we want to go back and attack them, and then just trying to, where's the ball, where's the five, where's the ball,
Yeah.
where's the five, and that'll tell you what concept we're in, and we try to verbalize that concept.
Yeah. And I love your teaching cues. So your team is going to know what red is. They're not going to know what America is. Your team is going to, that's a big, big deal, coaches, is to have teaching cues that your team will know.
Well, I
Uh,
think corporate knowledge in any
corporate knowledge.
business, corporate knowledge is a big deal. But again, we sure don't have all the answers, and anybody's welcome to contact us. We'll help any way we
Yeah.
can, and we can share our email, phone number, any of that stuff. But anything else on our end, we'll be glad to help with.
Coach Acuff, thank you.
Alrighty, guys.
Coach has been nice enough at the end. We're going to share coach's information, and he has just said very kindly that we can contact him. Coaches, we can contact him and get more information. Go to a Samford practice. Thank you, Coach. Have a great day. God bless you. And thank you for your time. Scott Brewer is the longtime character coach at Baylor University. Pastor Brewer, we're excited to have you this morning. And thank you so much for teaching with our Nations of Coaches character moment. Pastor Brewer, you got it.
Thank you, Barclay. Thank you so much. Lenny, thank you for all of those great words that you shared about Nations of Coaches. It's an honor to be with you, and I've only got 4 minutes, so here we go. If you're taking notes, you can write this one down. The power of oneness. The power of oneness. I'm just going to read 2 verses for you from John chapter 17, starting with verse 20. Jesus said, I'm praying not only for these disciples, but also for all of those who will ever believe in me through their message. I pray that they will be one, just as you and I are one, Father, as you are in me and I am in you. And may they be in us so that the world will believe that you sent me. I've given them the glory you gave me so they may be one as we are one. You know, the Jesus movement has been going on now for 2,100 years. It continues to spread all over the world. His playbook, the Bible, is the #1 selling playbook, the #1 book ever sold, and it's not even close. So how does that happen? how over 21 years, this movement of Jesus calling people to believe in him continue to spread all over the world. Well, in chapter 17, this is one of the last instructions that Jesus gives to his people. And here was his message, that they would be one. In 1882, at 19 months of age, Helen Keller developed an illness that left her blind and deaf. So almost the entirety of her life, she lived it not being able to see and not being able to hear. And coaches, this is what she said. She said, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. Let me say that again. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. All of you know what it's like to have a team on the floor and have one guy not buy in and try to do it all by himself. We all know it doesn't work, right? It's got to be together. There has to be a oneness on the floor. I want to ask you this question this morning. What would it be like, Coach, if you did everything you could to get oneness in your staff, oneness in your program? How about this one? How about oneness in your family? During COVID, my wife and I really struggled. I mean, I can't tell you what a tough time it was for she and I. And the problem is that for all of these years, we had not been forced to live together 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So we really didn't know what it was like to live in oneness each day. But it was through that struggle that we were forced to come to an agreement that we needed to work on oneness. And I'm so thankful to say today that after 24 years of marriage, that my wife and I have been experiencing the joy of a family operating in oneness instead of a family operating as different parts. So I want to ask you, head coach, what would it be like if one of your main objectives was to do everything you could for your staff and your program to operate in oneness? What would it be like for you, assistant coaches, that you tried to do everything you could to help your program operate in oneness? And then let me just come back to your households. What would it be like for you and your wife to operate in marriage as one? What would it look like for your family to operate in oneness? I think it would be a game changer. I think it would change staffs. I think it would change programs. I know that it'll change families because I have seen it change mine. I want to leave you with this one verse, Ecclesiastes 4:12. It says, a person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. So if the greatest movement of all time, the prayer of that leader was that they would be one, what would our programs, what would our families, what would our staffs look like if we operated in the power of oneness? Because you just heard a coach sharing with you all about alignment. Alignment of oneness is the way that Jesus invites us to live our lives, to lead our families, to lead our programs. So to that end, my challenge to you today is that you would fight to operate in the power of oneness. Barclay, can I pray for everybody?
Please.
Jesus, I thank you that your truth transcends all of time. And 2,100 years ago, just before you returned to heaven, your challenge to your people, your prayer for your people was for oneness. That there is power in a group of people operating as one. That powerful things can happen as teams, as staffs, as programs operate as one. Lord, I got to see the blessing of that in 2021 when I watched a program, I watched a team operate in oneness in the culture of joy. That power of oneness can do awesome and mighty things. Father, I pray for oneness for coaching staffs. I pray for oneness for programs. Most importantly, Lord, I pray for oneness in the household and the marriages and the families of these coaches, that you would bring that about and that you would bless them with that gift. And I pray these things in your name, Jesus. Amen.